Hello.
Hey, what's going on, party people?
This is Miss Renee, and I am here. We are here at another episode of Meet the Speaker for the Sustainable Notary Conference on Saturday and Sunday of June. And we are about, 35 or 34 days
Yeah.
out. We're on the fifth week, and we just coming to all of our speakers on our lineup just to get you a little bit exposed of who they are, why we picked them, and what they bring to offer. So for those of you who do not know, this is a wonderful man in the notary compliance world. He is native to Virginia, and it's just nothing but amazing. So let me have him introduce himself to you.
All right. What's going on, party people? Most of you may know me or maybe should know me, but I'm Griff the Notary, Griffin Notary Services out here in Virginia Beach, Virginia, covering all 7 cities and beyond. Started in 2018. Have probably over 1,700 various different notarial assignments, which includes loan closings, loan mods, and all of that stuff. Anything that need to be notarized that's legally notarized in the state of Virginia, I do, along with my e-notary stuff. And Miss Renee asked me to be a part of her wonderful sustainability conference, and I was like, yeah, I got you. So I'm here to support her, to support the whole notary community, and like she said, compliance is very important.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So I'm super excited for us to just kind of give them a sneak peek of what we're going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So one of the questions is, we already talked about what are you going to talk about, right? Notary compliance, but let's dive a little bit deeper. Like, why is notary compliance so important to being a loan signing agent? Sometimes people forget about like what's the role of a notary, right? Versus the document in general, right?
Right. Well, the main thing is with the compliance issue, where compliance first came to my awareness was doing I did a closing and the 4506 T. A person was asking why did that document that it was asking, why do we need to fill, sign this again? They've already requested our tax transcripts during the loan application phase. And I said, I don't know. I said, if you're concerned, let's call the loan officer or the title company. So they pulled up their phone, got their loan guy on the phone, and he said, the reason why we have you fill this out is because from time to time, our compliance department checks to make sure that we, the loan officers, did our job correctly and didn't force you into a loan that you couldn't afford. He said, if we refinance you and you're saving $400 on a loan, and then you turn around and come back a few months later saying you can't pay that mortgage, they're going to be like, what do you mean you can't pay the mortgage? We just saved you $400. Did somebody do something wrong? We need to go check. And one of the things they check is your tax returns. And in order to go back and get your tax returns after the closing, they need them to sign the 4506T in order for them to be able to submit that to the IRS. Meaning, if you are doing something nefarious with your mortgage, and then they send you that document saying, hey, you need to fill this out so we can request your tax transcript, the average slickster is not going to do that. I'm not going to give you permission after the fact. So they said, this is why we asked for that. So then I started looking more into compliance. And that's where I found out that they actually will go back and double check your job, all of these things after you've gotten your mortgage. So then I said, well, what other things do we need to be in compliance with? And that's when I started paying a little more attention to the notarial instructions. So a lot of times our compliance as a notary may not necessarily be a legal thing, but it may be a thing within that company as to how they do stuff. Case in point, real quick, the Social Security Administration paperwork, that one where they have it for 90 days and then they can change the time period and then initial. Well, every single company I've ever worked with, they just say it says 90 days is good for, and if you decide to change it, write in the amount of days that you want to change less than 90 and then initial. I came across a company They said, we want them to initial that anyway. I said, well, ma'am, they only supposed to initial it if they want to change it from 90, and they don't. We don't care. We want it done that way. So my compliance was, okay, I'm gonna comply with what you're asking for, because it's not dealing with anything for as my notarial laws. So if you want them initialing stuff on a document that really doesn't need to be initialed, then cool, we'll go that direction. But I just want to make sure you understand. Now, here's what it gets difficult. Some of these signing companies, and it's mostly the signing companies that are doing this, they're trying to make themselves look so great to their client that they're trying to get every dot dotted, every I dotted, every T crossed, even if it's not necessarily legal or even necessary. Last example, and go back to you. I had somebody ask me, they for California document. The guy was signing power of attorney. So he signed his name, then he signed his wife's name by his name, attorney in fact. Then I went and notarized it, his name by his wife name by his name, attorney in fact. They say, no, you can't do that because in California. And I'm like, but I'm in Virginia. Well, don't you realize that I said, I understand. I had to talk to Laura Brewer. I had to go and get some real help. And she said, well, in California, notaries can't do capacity in California. So you can only notarize the signature of the person who actually signed, not the person as they were signing in the power of attorney. She said, however, in Virginia, you can. So she said they need to just accept that the fact that you can in Virginia, ... I was like, okay, so to work with them, I just did an all-purpose acknowledgement with just the gentleman's name and submitted that to them. And I guess they was happy. But again, understanding compliance, because with a lot of the new signing companies they may be so notaries, they come in and start trying to tell you how you should be in your state, and they don't know your state laws. Back to you, lady.
Oh no, absolutely. I love the fact that you even brought up just Laura. She is one of our sponsors for the Sustainable Notary Conference. And so Coach Me Laura is a person that is just nothing but amazing. So shout out to her
Yes.
for being one of our sponsors for the conference. And yeah, she is the GOAT when it comes to that. But you're up there too. You know what I'm saying? You're up there too. You got 400, YouTubes out there, right? And I
Yeah.
think that videos in a spare of a short amount of time. So that's just salute you, sir. And
Thank you.
everyone that comes to the conference are going to experience of just something that you just didn't know, right? So we're going to
Mhm.
talk about common mistakes. We're going to have a panel discussion with some experts that are going to share the stage with this amazing speaker and talk about just some of the things. We can't have a sustainable notary conference if we're not talking about compliance, right? And
That is
just like
correct.
you said, it's a statewide initiative. There's certain things that we can do in certain states that we can't do in our own state, right? It's not
That is
applicable
correct.
for us, just like a scenario. And that was like the best scenario that you can give to our listeners right now. It's just you have to know your state code, right? And you got to
Correct.
also have a mindset that it may not be applicable nationwide, right? Just
Right.
state bound. So, good scenario on that. A couple other things is some states require the tip, right? Being in
Mhm.
Virginia, you require a tip license in order for you to even collect cash, right? You
That is
cannot do
correct.
that. And a tip in Maryland, right? So, and
Mhm.
then also states like um
Indiana is one of
Minnesota,
them. Yeah.
right, require a specific license for you to be a loan signing agent. It's not a tip, but it's a specific license.
Oh,
And some people don't even know that. And then if you come to Texas, guess what? You got to make sure that you're an attorney office or what? A title office for you to do cash out
cash
refis,
out
right?
refis. Yep. And I
And
did a
that's
video
a big
on that.
difference. So every state is different, right?
Correct.
And you just won't know. So we're going to cut the learning curve. When you come to the conference, we're just going to give you what we know in general, what we know, and what is notary compliance in regards to that, and what does that look like. So I thank you so much for just talking about that scenario. So are you excited for the conference?
Oh yeah, I'm stoked. I am very, very excited. Yeah, I'm excited and everything. So I mean, it's just different topics, different things, different scenarios just been running through my mind darn near daily. And I mean, and I've done speaking before, so it's like I'm getting back into the mindset. Okay, I got to make sure because one of the big things in my opinion, what I learned about speaking, you always have those excited people, but you always got to recognize the person who thought they understood, but now they're at a point they're like, wait a minute, okay, I thought I knew what I was talking about, and now they got to transition their mind over into, okay, let me accept this because now I see this is the truth. Not necessarily that I'm all about you, but that when you take what's being said against what you heard, it's like this over here wasn't the truth. This is what the truth is. And then especially those people who are like, I don't know nothing, help me understand because I done threw in the whole kitchen sink into this, and I'm just like, whatever, so, and those are the people who I'm starting to help out a little bit more now because they're coming in during this slowdown and I'm trying to help them stay focused. And people ask me, I said, whether you jump on doing the loan signing side or not, you should at least have your notarial commission and get yourself in a ready position and understand some things as to how things flow so that when they call you, because there's some of these folk who've been in here 18 months to 2 years, they're going to start tapping out because mentally they're not strong enough to deal with the ebb and flows. So they're going to be ready to move out. And guess what? A company is going to see your name and you're going to be next up. And they're going to be like, come on in here. We need you. And you got to be ready to go. And that's what I try to help people is to be ready to go when their number gets called. But I'm excited. Oh yeah, I'm pumped.
I am too. Like I'm definitely and you was leading to one of the questions that you were mentioning in regards to like the question for the slowdown. But we're not going to talk about that real quick. We're going to just talk about just the different ways of being a notary public, right, and what that looks like, and then in relation to that. So one of the things is Ron is like the newest thing, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to have a Ron discussion about that. But we wanted to introduce some of our sponsors, right? So
Yeah.
Notary Cam will be there, and they're going to talk about just in general, Ron. So we're going to get their shout out in regards to that. And one of the exciting things that I really am interested in is accounting, right? My specialty is in accounting, and I'm super excited to even introduce some of our sponsors in general, which is our elite sponsor, which is payment. And it talks about in general, some of the things of just how to keep your accounting books, right? So I say all of that to say, what people are waiting for about this wonderful topic. Is it slowing down, right? Like, is the refinance boom is over, right? We talked about this with John. We talked about this with Bill Soroka, right? Who's going to share the stage with everyone and just put everyone in the room that are the top leaders in the notary industry and just talk about this conversation. So what is your top? What is your thoughts about the slowdown?
Yeah. Well, if you understand the mortgage process, where does the slowdown start? It starts with the mortgage company and their ability to convince somebody to refinance. Just looking at refinance, they got to convince Renee to refinance. When Bill calls her, he got to have something that tantalizes her, that makes her feel comfortable with refinancing and adding back to going to 30 years when she was at 12 years left on her mortgage. You got to give them a reason to. So I don't think it's necessarily slowing down. I think it probably is going back to pre-pandemic levels, to what it was. Has the number of notifications stopped or slowed down? Or yeah, but here's the thing. If you've done what you had to do when you were supposed to been out there working, when it was popping, who they gonna call on? They're gonna call on you. And what I'm finding out is that what's happening is these companies have to make some hard decisions and say, okay, we only got this many closings coming in, and which notaries can we rely on to do them right so that we don't get booted? Okay.
You talked about something really important.
That is it, because even more recently, I had a situation where I didn't get the documents. And they were saying, oh, no, we sent you the documents, and make sure you let them know the title company did send you the documents. And I'm sitting here like, oh, you didn't. And I had to screenshot my computer to show them. I'm like, what you sent me did not have the documents in there. And what it was, the title company, they wanted to make sure that I passed on that they didn't screw up, and really wanted me to tell them they didn't say, yeah, they didn't screw up. And I'm like, so then who did screw? You trying to say me? I'm like, I'll take the blame if it's on me. But what's happening is that these companies, they want to make sure that whoever goes out and does a closing for them isn't going to screw it up and cause the deal to not go through. So they're being a little bit more selective on who they pick. They're being a little more tighter on the requirements on what they want you to do, how they want you to print the documents, all of that. So if you're a notary who was very, as they said when we was kids, loosey-goosey with the way you did loan closings, guess what? They're not going to necessarily be feeling you in a time of crisis. And this is a time of crisis for a lot of them. So they looking at it and say they got 15 notaries, and it's like, okay, these 5 we can rely on. These 10 over here, we was having problems with them anyway, so y'all out. So I would say the slowdown is dependent upon the relationship that you built with the companies and the industry prior to the mortgage rates going up, and you just got to be ready to go. Case in point, I got 4 closings a day. Did one just before you, which made me late. and I owe her some kind of fancy lunch or dinner or something because of that. And then I got 3, and one of them is on what is called the Eastern Shore of Virginia, which is an hour away one way, plus a $20 toll. Now they paying me good for it, but normally I wouldn't take those. But it's like I got to stay in good with the people. Plus they send it to me. I'm like, you know what? I'm going that direction. And this is where, let me share this here. When you're a good notary, other notaries recognize that. And guess what? Other notaries can pass on opportunities to you. And I'm not going to say much except an opportunity got passed on to me from somebody. They was like, hey, I can't do this. I'm working for this company, but where they want me to go is 2 hours from me. And I think it's closer in your area. And I was like, okay, where you want? And when they told me the location, I was like, well, that's an hour's drive for me. So it's half the time. And I said, but you know what? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. So she said, you don't mind? I said, I can't say no until I see that it's knowable. It's yesable right now.
Yes.
It's not knowable until I get in there and start doing it. So this morning I got up, I typed up a nice little letter to them saying I was instructed to reach out to y'all because I heard that such and such title company is in need of support. Notice the word I'm saying, is in need of support for closings in these 2 areas. I am available to support you in that. Here's my E&O insurance, and my notary commission is good till May of 2026. And please contact me with any additional information. I am excited about supporting such and such title company and your clients.
Exactly.
And they responded back to me like, here's the paperwork, fill this out. Boom. So I know, and see, I already don't have a problem driving an hour. I don't. If I can drive an hour, I will. But if it's consistent work, I'll go 2 hours. If it's consistent, right. If I know that I can get 5 or more of those 2-hour drives a month and they're at a good price, because what I'm looking at is that money that I got coming in is for the bills for next month. I already did for this month. I'm working toward next month. So what if I sit on my butt this month? That means ain't nothing coming in for next month, and I'm going to be in trouble with the family. So I can't have that.
Right. And I think that you did a good sum up of just what's your opinion of what notaries are saying, right, in the slowdown. And once again, what Ms. Renee say is exactly what Mr. Griffin said. It's just, what are you willing to do to set you different apart, right? Are you going to tap into your other notary communities, like your notaries, that your notary buddies that know that you're in another area, so they're not going to cut their opportunity of potentially driving 3 out miles. They're going to give another notary buddy so they still look good.
Right.
And they're going to know what type of work that you do in general, and they're going to pass it along. So they're not hurting themselves in the relationship of saying no. It's like, oh no, however, I have a resource, and they're going to always come back to the primary person, but knowing that you have back support. So you have to carry out your back support. And I tell them with witnesses, when you have a Florida document, and Florida require witnesses, right? Well, at that moment, do you have your backup support? So do you have a notary that can come to be a witness on a closing? And it's about building that community. And that's what the conference is all about. Building that community, finding people that are around that. And if you don't know another state requirement, you can call another notary that is in a different state to know, like, okay, just like how you call Laura B, right? When you're in Virginia, right? And she's in California. It's about meeting like-minded individuals that share the same serious of being a notary and trying to stay sustainable, right? There's many ways. So here's what Miss Renee is going to say about the slowdown. It's just a money game, right? There's a money tree, right? In 2020, the money for the money tree was at an equal plane, right? And then in 2021, what happened? The money grew an inch taller. So if it grew an inch taller, what are you going to do to be different? Are you going to be like Mr. Griffin, right? Where he was just like, oh, well, you know what? Typically I wouldn't, but the things that I say I typically want to do, I'm going to say it's not knowable. It's yes until it's knowable, right? And then when you go into 2022, right? What are you going to do to climb two inches taller? Are you going to learn how to jump further? Right? Are you going to learn how to build faster? Or are you going to go buy, right, another resources that you're going to have capital to buy to get taller, right? So buy can be gas to drive a little farther, what you really wouldn't do. It's about being creative in the season where we are. Gas is high, right? The recession is, at that. But I wouldn't say it's slowing down. Why? It's not that I'm naive. It's the fact that I'm looking at real estate agents. I'm looking at loan officers. I'm looking at bankers.
Yeah.
Nobody is losing their job, and they're in the same spaces as where we are is in real estate. So because of that, there's 7 different transactions in one particular house, right? You're buying, you're purchasing, you're refinancing, you're changing, you're doing a trust, you're doing a lot. So because of that, every house that you see, there's 7 different transactions a notary can be involved in. That is a lot of money. So you just got to change your mind. And that's why we bringing in Bill Soroka to change our mind from just opening up the conference. Some of the secret things that I'm going to have to everyone right now, we just rolled out. We're going to have what? We're going to work out together. One of the things with notaries is we sit in the car all the time. I don't know about you, but I gained about 20 pounds. So at about 6 o'clock a.m. on the 18th, we're going to have a mind, body, and soul workout. Okay. That's going to be really, really fun. Then we just announced we're going to do a meet and greet from 4 to about 6 p.m. on the 17th, which is Friday, on the rooftop of the Main. Not sure if you ever been to the Main, but it's a new build out in downtown Norfolk, and it's nothing but amazing, right? The hotel. So they have a rooftop, so come and hang out, even if you don't have the first ticket versus the tier ticket, right? Everybody can come on that Friday night. Lastly, with Griffin, we're going to be at a dinner, right? Between the hours of 6 and 8, and we're going to sit down and just love on you with an orange party. Wear your orange. Make sure, Griffin, you got your orange, okay?
Yes,
it's going to be an all-orange party at 6 p.m. So we have a 2-day, 16-hour full content. People are coming over all over just to teach us how to be more notary compliant and also learn a couple other things. So shout out to some of the sponsors. We have the Jurat Inc., which is e-notarization. We have a couple people, Notary Assist. We have Payment. We also have Coach Me Lord and a couple other ones. But some of our audience is saying, thank you so much for the information. They love you, Griff, and they are super excited what you're doing. So until next time, you guys, we are super excited. We ran about 25 minutes on Meet the Speaker with Griff the Notary.
All right.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. And see you at the conference June 18 and 19. Get your ticket before it sells out. We are 5 weeks left. Bye-bye.
Y'all have a good one. Peace.